bonsoir tout le monde. Merci beaucoup d'être venu à cette projection. Nous sommes très heureux d'accueillir ce soir l'artiste américain Peter Miller à la Cinémathèque suisse. Et donc je souhaiterais ici le remercier chaleureusement d'avoir accepté notre invitation, ainsi que Rose Lauder, qui viendra aussi présenter ses films, ici même en salle du Cinématographe, vendredi à 18h30. J'en profite aussi pour remercier vivement la Cinémathèque suisse qui nous accueille ici toujours avec bienveillance, ainsi que Lightcone qui a fourni les copies des films que vous allez voir ce soir, ainsi que ceux de Rose Lauder. Avant de commencer, je dois simplement préciser que ces invitations à des cinéastes ont été lancées dans le cadre d'un colloque dont vous voyez ici l'affiche qui se déroule en ce moment à l'université de Lausanne. Donc n'hésitez pas à venir, c'est pas fini, il y a encore jeudi et vendredi toute la journée. Un colloque qui se tient à l'université de Lausanne et qui vient clore un projet de recherche portant, comme vous pouvez le voir aussi ici, sur une caméra qui est devenue mythique, non seulement en Suisse, mais en général dans le milieu du cinéma, la caméra Bolex H16. Loin de se restreindre à une rencontre strictement universitaire, ce colloque prolonge en fait un dialogue qui a été constant pendant toute la durée de notre projet et je pourrais dire qu'il en a même été la condition de possibilité. Dialogue avec les archivistes d'abord, archivistes de la Cinémathèque suisse et de bien d'autres institutions, mais dialogue aussi avec des collectionneurs qui sont les détenteurs d'un savoir précieux sur la technique. Dialogue enfin avec des cinéastes qui sont des expérimentateurs passionnés d'appareils mécaniques en général et de caméras Bolex en particulier. Et je pense que Peter en est un exemple ce soir. Il nous a semblé donc que le travail de création cinématographique de Peter Miller se prêtait bien à un croisement avec nos recherches, dans la mesure où il se livre déjà depuis plusieurs années à une inlassable exploration des techniques de la photographie et du cinéma, allant du cyanotype au cinémascope, en passant par les formats substandards et en particulier le 16 mm. Peter Miller interroge ainsi le cinéma d'une manière qui n'est pas pour nous déplaire ici, c'est-à-dire en s'employant à déconstruire le dispositif cinéma élément par élément. Non seulement la caméra, le projecteur, l'écran, mais aussi la salle, la lumière et nous, le public. S'il n'hésite pas à ouvrir la boîte de la caméra et à retourner aux fondements techniques de l'enregistrement, comme ont pu le faire d'ailleurs de nombreux amateurs qui s'emparaient de la technique, il ne cesse en même temps de chercher à retrouver de la magie, c'est son terme, dans le processus de captation de la lumière et dans l'acte performatif de production des images. C'est ce geste que nous avons souhaité ici, ce soir, saisir comme une volonté de réenchantement du regard de la part d'un artiste dont l'œuvre est faite aussi d'installations lumineuses et de dispositifs optiques qui interrogent notre perception. Mais de films qui se proposent, comme vous allez le voir dans un instant, de laver nos yeux. Donc je pense à ce deuxième film que nous allons projeter ce soir, A Film That Cleans Your Eyes. Je crois que Peter Miller a justement aussi envisagé cette projection comme un acte performatif, parce qu'il nous dira un mot sur chacun des films avant leur projection, mais aussi parce qu'il performera certains de ces films, notamment pour conclure cette séance, des films qui exigent donc la présence en chair et en os du cinéaste dans la salle. Je lui souhaite donc la bienvenue à la Cinémathèque suisse et je lui cède la parole sans plus attendre. Merci beaucoup, Peter.
Merci pour l'invitation. Merci pour votre présence et j'espère votre attention. Merci d'avance à Denise pour la projection. On a juste mangé ensemble et j'ai pensé, si on mange dans un restaurant, c'est souvent le serveur me demande ça vous a plu? Et j'ai dit ah oui, merci beaucoup, c'était très bien. Et il m'a dit merci, de rien, mais c'est pas lui qui a fait le repas, c'est en fait quelqu'un devant le rideau. Et c'est Denis qui fait le magie ce soir, merci d'avant. Oui, je ne parle pas de français, mon français c'est pas très bien. Et l'autre chose, c'est en fait, j'ai pensé, c'est un colloque. Donc si vous n'étiez pas ici pour un colloque, mais non, vous étiez dans le colloque, c'est trop tard, vous étiez participant. Et moi aussi, je suis juste arrivé, j'ai raté le colloque aujourd'hui, mais je crois le colloque, c'est comme Stéphane a dit, c'est une chose avec le cinéma amateur et entre autres aussi le Bolex, ouais, et voilà. Donc j'ai pensé, si mes films ce soir vous plaisent. Merci, plaise. Merci beaucoup. Si pas, c'était Stéphane qui a choisi le mais je crois qu'il a choisi un petit programme avec l'idée de 16 et le Bolex, c'est le film amateur. Oui. Donc, quelqu'un reconnaît cette phrase? S'il vous plaît. Personne? Oui?
Sur la guitare de Woody Guthrie.
Très bien. C'était sur la guitare de Woody Guthrie. Et imaginez-vous, Woody Guthrie, folk legend aux États-Unis, et folk musique, le folk musique, désolé, français et allemand, on a juste. You only have enough room for one. I only have enough room for one foreign language in my brain. Mais le folk musique était comme le punk musique. C'était une musique tellement radicale. On oubliait ça aujourd'hui. J'ai oublié ça aujourd'hui. Et Woody Guthrie était contre la guerre, la participation des États-Unis dans la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Et après un temps, il a changé son avis. Il a écrit hyper grand sur son guitare, "This machine kills fascists." Et l'idée de penser à une guitare comme un appareil, donc c'est comme un appareil, mais c'est pas vraiment une machine. Mais là, il a eu raison en fait. It's a device that you can use to transform the world. And these are also devices that you can use to transform the world. I mean, anything. This right now is currently a very useful device. I don't really need this though, do I? But it feels awesome. No, I just wanted to, for people who are here because of the colloquium, I thought, I'm not sure if I'm the entertainment or I'm the professional amateur or something, because it's amateur cinema night. But I wanted to say a few quick things. This picture was taken of me on the way to the Kubelka School in Vienna, where I taught, and I was giving them a Bolex. I had an extra one. What's the plural of Bolex? Bolai? I don't know. Bolexes. But and on the way I wrote that. I bought a white marker and I wrote that on the side, and I wanted students that study there in the future to really think about the fact that this is a device that's designed. The Bolex, if you've never had one in your hands, then if you've never had one in your hands, then you don't want to have one. Because if you have had one in your hands, you want to have one. And, I often describe them as they're Swiss. And they're like the Swiss Army knife in that you can do anything with them. You can really do anything. I mean, you can open a bottle of beer, I'm sure, but they are, you have to imagine a very beautiful, handmade, well, it looks like it's handmade, device that is designed to take time and light apart, which is like really a stunning concept when you think about it. And it's a device that asks you to understand it inside and out. And I can tell you that I was a silversmith before I started working with the cinema, which makes perfect sense in French, right? The cinéma argentique. And photography. But so I was working with silver a lot, and I ended up taking a film class, and one of these things stumbled into my hands, and I remember this feeling I've never had since, but there was this feeling that this thing was going to be a part of my life forever. I didn't know what that meant, but it was like a musical instrument, but it wasn't nearly as heavy as some. And I didn't know what it meant, but it was kind of like love, a little bit, but more like this weird mechanical crush thing. And I was just like, oh, there you are. Okay, now you're there, and now I don't have to wonder what it's like without you anymore. And so, yeah, I thought I would show some films tonight, and between them, maybe I'd say a few words. I was trying to speak in French. Maybe I'll try again. Yeah, and that's it. Any questions? No? The first film we're going to watch is very short. Well, they're all, it's 3 minutes long. I'll just put it that way. And because some of the people here are part of a colloquium, I'm going to give a very, very, very small, extremely technical description of the film, just because it might be useful to one person. And so if this doesn't work for you at all, just don't worry about it. I mean, you're not getting tested later or anything like that. But there's another device in the analog cinema world called an optical printer. An optical printer is usually, well, it's practically always a Bolex, frozen in an eternal dance with a projector. They both look straight at each other. And so you can use these devices to do special effects. You can tell the projector to project 2 frames and the Bolex to take 4 pictures of 2 frames. And it's like that. And I wanted to make a film with one of these, but I didn't have one of these. All I had was a Bolex. But what can you not do with a Bolex? So I ended up making this film. It's called Broken Horses. And to do it, here comes the technical part. To do it, there's this very, 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 very contrasty film called 7363. You don't need to know that. It only records black and white, no gray. So I went outside and exposed an entire roll of film at the sun, but every other frame. So I would record a frame of the sun with no lens on the camera, and then record a frame with my hand over the lens. So I did this for an entire roll of film, essentially making a checkerboard. So I knew that every other frame was either pure, clear celluloid or absolutely 100% opaque silver, which is what black is in black and white films. And after I had this film roll and I developed it, I punched a hole at the beginning of it with a little hole punch, and I made a copy of it. And when I made a copy of it, I had a copy of the hole as well, and the negative of it. So I had 2 checkerboards. And on one checkerboard film, let's call it A, every even frame was black. And on the other checkerboard frame, let's call it B, every odd one was black. Now I had these A and this B roll. And then I went to the darkroom and I made copies of the A roll onto a, let's call it C roll, which was negative, hadn't been exposed yet. And did the same thing to a D roll with the B roll. No, wait, okay. All I mean with that is that in the end I had 2 rolls of negative that were prepared, and I knew that on both of these rolls of negative, on one of them, every even frame was completely blasted out. It was already completely black. And on the other one, it was the opposite frames. And so that I knew whatever I shoot with these 2 rolls of film, afterwards I can copy the frames, the rolls together, and whatever was black will act like a shield and not let light through, and I can seamlessly copy the 2 films. So this is the result of a really complicated process. And like I said, you don't need to know that. But then again, anything related, I mean, anybody who tries to make a work of art is trying to do something that doesn't need to be done. And there's a lot of good reasons why you shouldn't do it, but they do it anyway, which I'm very grateful for, people that do that. So I just wanted to provide that to you beforehand. At dinner, we also talked briefly about the fact that the cinema equivalent of bon appetit is bonne projection, a phrase I love a lot, so let's watch a movie. I'm sure most of you know this. The history of the cinema is the history of film and photography has a lot to do with horses. But one thing I didn't know, and I just fed you this A, B, C, D roll idea, which hopefully most of you have forgotten, is a gentleman we'll meet later tonight on the screen. Werner Neck is a German collector of proto-cinematic devices. Those are the devices that existed in the 20,000 years before the cinema was invented, which is the part that I like the best. And I met him to shoot a portrait of him, which we'll see tonight. And he was really excited because on that day he had finally acquired a book that he had been searching for his whole life. And it was written far, far before the invention of photography, 1780, I think. And it was a French scientist whose name I forgot, unfortunately. It would be impressive tonight to be able to say his name. But, and he explained to me that before the automobile existed, horses were automobiles. So people would go to school and study horses. Like there were horse engineers. Like how a horse's body worked, the muscles. It was really, really important. Anyway, this scientist was trying to figure out when a horse is galloping really quickly, Not the same question that Muybridge was trying to solve, but when the horses was galloping really, really quickly, what were the order of the legs? Was it front right and then back left? Or was it, because you can see that when it's slow, but at a certain speed, the human eye just goes, I don't know, you can't figure it out. And he came up with this incredible solution, which was that he tied a very tiny bell to each of the 4 hooves. A different sounding bell, apropos A, B, C, D. Because he knew we think our eyes are so brilliant, but they can't figure that out. But if the horse, no matter how fast the horse gallops, your ears would just say, oh yeah. And it's insane for me to think that our hearing is actually far, far more advanced than we think, and in often cases also more advanced than our seeing is a nice little thought. Next film, as Stefan explained, is called A Film That Cleans Your Eyes. And actually it's a great film to end with, if you know what I mean. But it's part of a body of films I made called Panacea, which are useful films, which are films that are actually purport to cast themselves like spells upon you and actually achieve useful things. Other films include a film that adds 3 minutes to your life, which is 3 minutes long. I'm forgetting some of the other titles, but let's give it a look. Thank you. So now your eyes are clean, in case you're wondering. Guaranteed clean eyes. In case you're also wondering, I really did make every decision involved in that film. Well, I'm not kidding now. Every decision involved me thinking what could clean your eyes. The title itself is supposed to be a conceptual portal that you walk through, but I don't want you to think you're walking into a wall. When you walk through that portal, I'm there with my hand out saying, let's go, which is just so you know. And so, yeah, questions? No? Good. Or not. Politics. Let's not talk about politics. The next film is called Futurus. Futurus is a kind of firefly, the Luciole. I went to North Carolina in the United States to work with Futurus Carolinus, and I brought a Bolex with me, and I used the Bolex to film them in several ways, but also to document the construction of a device that I used in the woods, which was essentially a large black tube that I filled with film and let fireflies crawl around inside. So it was a little portable darkroom out in the woods. Yeah, you'll see. Okay, thank you. No. You see the melted hole just before the credits? I was in the cinema when that happened. It was actually kind of amazing. It was at Mannheim, but and then the film goes. But with that film and right between the final firefly scene and the credits, I was like, I'll take it, you know? People ask me a lot if I'm some kind of analog fascist. That's funny because this machine kills fascists. But a lot of the films you're seeing tonight obviously have a relation to this kind of filmmaking. I do work with video, by the way. Some of my friends work with video. but it's with films like this, for instance, I often point out and I say, I couldn't have made that film with video. I couldn't have made that film with software. I couldn't have. So a lot of what I make involves learning there's the sound of CinemaScope happening behind me. I love it. It involves asking the thing or the material what it wants to say in the language that it speaks, so to speak. Which is not as weird as it sounds. If any of you who do not know another person in this room tonight were to happen to meet and talk, I would suggest that what you would do is quickly figure out what it is about the person you're talking to that makes them them, and not everybody else you've ever met. And we do this all the time, you know. But I just do it as an artist with things. And so I also, little anecdote, I love anecdotes, you can tell, I'm really crazy about it. In justification of why I work with analog, besides the fact that there's no police stopping me, there's no laws against it, is that I often say if I were transported back in time, 500 years, to medieval Europe, and I brought with me a Bolex, for instance, and a projector, and some film, I could probably shoot some film of the king and find some chemicals. No shit, you can process film and coffee, you know. Find some chemicals, process it. Granted, my projector doesn't have electricity, but I could figure something out with a candle, I don't know. And I probably could project these moving images for the king. The king would then say, well, how'd you do that? And I would explain to the king, well, you see, you know, the lens flips the image upside down, this is light-sensitive material, and either it's being exposed or it's being blocked as it's being transported in these rolls of flexible material, which are then acted upon chemically, so that the light-sensitive material shows what it was receiving, but then at a point fixes it so it stops being light-sensitive. And the king would probably say, you are a magician. You are my new court sorcerer, right? Now, if I went back 500 years ago, medieval Europe, and you gave me a video camera and a computer, and I shot some video of the king, and I showed it to him on my computer, and he said, well, that's cool, how'd you do that? And I said, well, there's like a SD card, and there's like a codec, which is like a package that you wrap around an MKV file, or a MOV, and he would burn me at the stake like a witch. Right? That's the difference for me. So I just had to share that. Those are my 2 cents on that matter. Okay, so you've had your first few small courses. This is a long film. It's 48 minutes long, so you know now. And it's silent. And it is called The Lookers, and the description of the film is 20 portraits of moving image artists looking. These are the 20. Richard Leacock, Paul Klipson, Marcel Odenbach, Mara Matuchka, Dariusz Kowalski, Greg Bordowitz and Christine Woods, Dora O, Friedel Kubelka, Phil Collins, the video maker, Thomas Draschan, Gustav Deutsch and Hannah Schimmick, Emmanuel Lefranc, Birgit Hein, Christopher Becks, Christophe Girardet and Matthias Müller, Peter Czerkaski and Yves Heller, Ronald Reynolds, Bruce McClure, Werner Neckes, and Peter Kubelka. Each one of them is about 2-3 minutes. Some are black and white, some are color. Have fun. So yeah, those are portraits of moving image artists looking at things. But so I appreciate you looking at it. I appreciate you looking because it's challenging. But I didn't mean it to be challenging. I like it, and I meant it to be. Anyway, I'm going to. Are there any questions? No. Okay. There don't have to be. This isn't really colloquium, but I just thought I'd give you that opportunity. So we're almost done. That was your meat and potatoes, like the heavy central portion of the meal. And then for dessert, I was going to show a video. The video is a transfer of a film. It's the only transfer I have. And I'm switching microphones now. So, quick story. I lived in. Ça va? Ça va, ça va, ça va. Ça va? I lived in Boston. After I went to college, and I was a silversmith, and I became a filmmaker, photo artist. And after I graduated, my film professor, he asked the class, after you graduate, how are you going to continue working with film? And I didn't know, and I said, I give up. Like, I thought he would have the answer. And he was like, I don't know either. And I thought, well, that sucks, because now I found this thing that I love, but without the academy, I don't have access to these cameras, you know, these heavy pieces of machinery. So I got a job working as a projectionist, which is why I have great reverie. I'm very grateful to Denis tonight for his work. And I worked as a projection for 5 years, and I also worked in a film lab. And working in a film lab was really cool because I could do all kinds of strange tests and have them processed for free. That was the big benefit. And in the same lab, there was another artist, an artist named Xander Morrow, and she lived in Providence, Rhode Island. And Providence, Rhode Island, at that time in the US, was a really, really cool art scene. And she was running a program there regularly called Movies with Live Soundtracks. And so, obviously, the history of the cinema, especially the silent beginning of the cinema, was never really silent. There was always live accompaniment. I mean, there's a fucking piano in the room, right? That's not a coincidence. That's the piano. And but her idea was she was inviting artists to make work and accompany with live soundtracks. This whole little story is just to give you a little context. And she was very, very hardcore about it. One artist tried to get a tuba player, but she couldn't, so she tried to play tuba music on CD.
And Xander was like, no, it's movies with live soundtracks. Like, you playing a CD live is not live music. And she wouldn't let her show the film. And so, anyway, that's to give you an idea. It was like every week these shows. So people were running around Boston and Providence trying to make a film in 3 days so they could show it by Saturday, you know? Which is cool, especially with 16 millimeter, because normally it's this very heavy, serious process that, you know, and so it was very light and fun. So this is one of the films that I showed there. That's the backstory. The other thing is it's true, I did bleach my hair blonde, which you'll see in this film. And the sideburns that I have that have little lightning bolts, I invented those and I thought they were really cool, and I'm still surprised that they didn't catch on. Like, that's all you need to know, other than the fact that, like I said at the beginning, when I met the Bolex, I had a big fat mechanical crush on it. And this movie is called Bolex Baby. So. Me. I flew to Lausanne with a guitar in the plane. I've never done that before. I felt so cool. This guitar, by the way, has a sticker on it. This machine, I didn't put the other half of the sticker on it. I left it up to you. I think there's enough machines that kill fascists. Well, enough, what, 2? But I figured it can do other things too. Okay. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, Denise. Sit now in my lap, purring like a cat, sweet leather and chrome. I see the world through you, and I will wind your spring. Focus on infinity, your iris is dilating, you're overexposing. I don't want to live without you in my life. My divine device, I prayed to an angel to send me a lifelong love. Maybe it may be my Bolex baby. Bolex baby, Bolex baby, Bolex baby. Whatever I feed you, you will take up. You need me like I need you. We'll never ever break up. Stay strong, never do nothing wrong, never ever break down, because you're counted on. And now you're overcranked, feels like you're gonna blow. Time moves by in slow-mo. Waited patiently for us in a machine, but you're a toy to me, my Bolex baby. Bolex baby, Bolex baby, Bolex baby. Do now what I say. You belong to me. I'll put my hands anywhere. I want you on your body, and no one else can touch you except anyone I want to. And you will look at what I say. Don't make me lay my hands on you, 'cause you've only got one eye, can only stand with a crutch. My apparatus exist. You're just a fucking machine. If only you could see. If you only knew. You're everything to me. I'm nothing without you. 'Cause you divide my time in a coiled up tight line. You light up my sight. If God granted me one wish for one magical gift, I'd ask for him to grant me Rolex lady, lady. A Rolex lady. Thank you very much. Well, I think that's the show. So, thanks for coming, and see you right now. Any questions? No? No questions. Great. Thanks.